Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, Life, Love, and all that other shit. I am your host, KeKe Chanel, award-winning author, lifestyle blogger, and certified mindset and personal growth coach. The overall theme for Kicking It with KeKe is all about mindset and personal development. I believe when we operate as our highest self, we go through life more abundantly. Uh, I have a special guest today for you guys. Listen, y'all know how I like to do. I like to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves, so I'll turn it over to her. Thank you for coming to kick it with me today. How you doing?
I'm doing good, KeKe. How about you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for asking. But go ahead and tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Tayisha Beard. I'm the creator of the Four-Step Asset Multiplier, which is a framework I created about a year ago to help women use their current roles, their current careers to build their long-term financial wealth. And so I'm also a Amazon #1 bestseller in February of this year. Excited
Hey,
about that.
congratulations.
I am a public speaker as well as an executive in corporate America.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So before we get started, I always have to ask my guests the question about mindset and personal development because, after all, this is what the platform is all about. So let's go into like work-life balance. How do you believe that is important to have like a shift in mindset to make sure that you don't just burn yourself out when it comes to work-life balance?
Yeah. I talk about that a lot in the book, in the Executivepreneur. I think for the longest time, I chased the um, promotions and I chased the career, which is all fantastic, but I didn't leave any time for myself.
Mm,
And I was very successful in doing so and accomplishing the things that I wanted to accomplish and building wealth and all of that. But I did not take care of myself mentally or physically.
mm,
And I got to a point to where my body started to react. And it's one thing of knowing when it's time for a break. It's another thing when your body doesn't give you an option. And I started having panic attacks back in
mm.
2019. And before I knew what it was, I thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm in my 40s, so I'm not at an age where heart attacks should be relevant at the moment. So I went to the emergency room one morning in 2019 and heart palpitations, sweating profusely, and just going crazy thinking, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. And I think
Mhm.
that was a wake up moment for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Um, it really was. And they ran every test that they possibly could, from EKGs, um, you know, full body scans, everything. And they said, hey, we don't see anything wrong with you. So just go home, take an aspirin. And if it's a heart attack, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do. So I went home that night, and that was probably one of the lowest moments in my life because I have two children and a husband.
Mhm.
And I knew, just evaluating my life and just reflecting on everything, I knew I wasn't ready to leave them because
Right.
I wasn't leaving them in the best situation. So the next day I wake up, everything's fine. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it was just a mistake, move on. Went about my day, normal day, went to the office, came home, same thing happened. This time it
Mhm.
wasn't in the middle of the night, it was midday, like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Wow.
So I go back to the emergency room. And they tell me, this time we're going to keep you because you were here last night. Something's going on and we need to bring the specialist in.
Mhm.
So every specialist you can think about, from pulmonologists, cardiologists, everybody was in that room trying to figure out what was happening. And
Mhm.
that next morning I wake up in the hospital and they said, hey, we think we know what's going on with you. And they said it was panic attacks. And I had no idea that a panic attack could feel that way, for one. And for two, I had no idea it can have that type of reaction to your whole body.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me to realize work-life balance. And what I was doing was, again, it was working. If
Mhm.
you think of corporately or for promotions, it was working. But what was I doing to myself? I was killing myself in the time being.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about what work-life balance actually means. And again, I went on that goose egg hunt, right? Of trying to find out what's that right balance and how do I make this schedule or routine stick? And then I realized that that wasn't achievable.
Mm.
So when it comes to work-life balance, it's not something that you write down one time and you just stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you have to adjust every single day.
Yeah.
And you have to give yourself grace. You have to be patient with the change and be okay with whatever has to change, and you have to pivot. And when I started doing that and just saying, it's okay, girl, you couldn't get up at 5 this morning because you went to bed late working. It's okay. You don't have to get up at 5 and go work out. Who said you had to do that?
Right.
And it was me. I was putting that pressure on myself because, oh, I'm supposed to get up at 5. I'm supposed to go to the gym at 5. Well, I was killing myself trying to stick to that perfect plan and that perfect balance. And I just started giving myself some grace and saying, it's okay if I can't stick to it now. I'm not going to make that as an excuse to not do it.
Right.
Just figure out a better time when it works better for you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, tomorrow, if you feel good to get up at 5, you get up at 5. It's okay to pivot. And I think that's when I truly understood the value and the system of work-life balance. And the truthfully is, it's not a perfect system. You create it, and it changes every day.
Changes every day. It has to change every day in order for it to be effective, because life is ever changing. We are ever changing. So I'm glad that you paid attention, because some people just chalk it up to, oh, I just ate something bad, or I didn't get enough sleep. And next thing you know, it's a whole nother illness. That's like stress is an underlying cause of a lot of deaths that happen because we don't pay attention. And we all know with the Black community, the myths of not taking care of ourselves or not going to the doctor for fear of, and I get the fear. They don't listen. They don't take us seriously. So yeah, I think that mindset plays a big part in work-life balance, because you have to be able to shift. And like you said, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to not get up at like you said, 5 o'clock one day. Do it the next day, or give yourself grace and do it the next day after that. As long as you don't stay stuck in that cycle, then you'll be okay.
Exactly. And you have to, when you think of mindset shift, I think that's something that just doesn't turn on at a certain age. It's not an age thing. It's not a certain career level thing. It's a you thing. And you have to really figure out that I am ready to change something about not only what I'm doing, but how I'm thinking. How am I processing everything? How am I preparing for everything? Because that eventually turns into your actions. Yes. And so I just invested a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time in reading books, listening to podcasts, KeKe, and investing in masterminds. Mm-hmm. People don't invest in themselves, but they're so ready to invest in something else, in stock and everything. That's great, but you got to invest in yourself too. Because you can get all the stock, you can get all the real estate, you can get all that stuff and lose it because you haven't worked on what the foundation is, yourself.
Absolutely. And see, you all in my notes, because I was talking about, one of the talking points I wanted to talk about was investing in self. So listen, we don't even have to go. We don't have to say anything else about it. It is important to invest in yourself. And that doesn't always mean, like buying something. Investing in yourself is making sure that you're eating right, making sure that you're getting the proper rest, making sure that you are absorbing things that will help you progress in your mind, body, and spirit. If you know that you shouldn't watch this, don't watch this. Don't make it a routine. Don't make it a habit. So that is a form of investment. Like you said, meditation. A lot of people don't meditate. I've learned on my journey of being a mindset coach. They feel like it's a form of taboo in a sense. And I'm like, you get what you take into it. If you expect negativity, you will get negativity. And that's just with anything. It's all about what you tell yourself and what you feed yourself. And mindset, I'm glad that you say that it is a you thing. I was over here jumping out of my seat because I felt that when you have done the work, when you have gone through your journey, your healing journey, to elevate yourself to the next level and be the person that God has placed you on this earth to be, everything, the perspectives are different. I get excited when I meet people like yourself. Like when we met and you talked, I was like, it's her energy, it's her aura, everything about you I was like, yes, I gotta get to know this lady right here. And so thank you again for being on the podcast. So I want to ask this question too. What is something that you do daily to help develop yourself personally?
So in the mornings, and this is just a routine that I have, and again, I pivot when necessary. In the mornings, I get up. I do get up at 4. I work out at 5. Like I'm at the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's my goal. But that doesn't happen every morning. When I get home, I normally have about 30 minutes before my kids have to get up, and then life gets crazy, right? But I have that 30 minutes, and sometimes I just sit in the chair because something about early mornings when you're not getting phone calls, you're not getting emails, the world's still. And I love that stillness. That stillness, oh my goodness. It's unexplainable, but if you don't get up early in the morning, try it a few times, because something about when everything is quiet, you get to hear better. Nobody's talking, so you're not listening to all the noise and the traffic that's coming in. Everything is just still, and that's how God speaks to you. It's a still voice. It's not loud. He's not going to compete for everything else that we're listening to, the TV, the radio, other people talk. He's not going to compete with that. Right. But when you're still, and that goes back to meditation, and you can just sit there, don't think about nothing. That's when you start getting these downloads. People call them downloads, they call it vibe, they call it whatever. That is the Holy Spirit talking to you and dropping some things in your spirit. And those $1 million ideas come in that stillness. And what you do with it after that is totally up to you. God's going to give you everything that you need to be successful. You have to get up and do something with it. So that is really how I get my day started. I start with that meditation. I go through, you got to get work done. It's a part of life. We're all, well, I'd say 90% of us are in it every day doing something to help feed our family and create a better life for our children and generations to come. So, that's part of it as well. And I think with that also, you still have to be reminded of who you are, because sometimes we can get so engulfed in what's going on at work, what's going on around us, what's going on with some of these organizations we're in. You have to still remember who you are and the reason that you're here. And there'll be some times in the middle of the day, I can be at work, having a work meeting, whatever. And I just get this download about something I need to say. That's beyond me, but it needs to be said. And I've learned to start saying that, because that you never know when somebody needed to hear that at the right time. Right. So I just try to be aligned. Every day I try to align my life with whatever God's purpose is for that day, because we got to take our daily bread. I can't worry about next week, and I can't worry about next month. I'm going to prepare for those things. But today I got to make sure that my daily bread is given and received. And so, you just got to be prepared to be aligned with God every day, and then to do what his will is, do whatever it is that you're supposed to do in that day.
Absolutely. And that's a good segue into the importance of building your own table. And I know you're all about helping women. So just tell the listeners about your 4-step asset multiplier framework. How did you get into that? How did that all come about?
Yeah. So I modeled it honestly after where I was in my life at the moment and where I was trying to go. And so there's 4 steps. The first step is the executive. That's that career level woman that's working, that's making that 6-figure salary, that's doing wonderful for herself as far as income goes. But that woman also feels like she's missing something. That woman has a gap in her life, and she can't figure out what that gap is. She's thinking, I'm doing good. I have a good career. I'm well respected in the work industry or the work world. What's missing? The passion, the purpose is missing. And so then that takes you to the second step, which is the executivepreneur. That's what the book is about. That's when you begin to, as you mentioned earlier, change your mindset. And don't see everything as just, I got to do this at 3, I got to do this at 4, and so calculated. But now you're thinking of, how do I just live according to my purpose? You're still working, right? You haven't become that entrepreneur just yet, but now you're shifting your mindset, and then now you're shifting how you spend your money. We always feel we don't have enough money, but I bet if you were to sit down and write everything out based on what's going out and what's coming in, you have the money. It's just maybe not being applied to the right account. It's going to that expense account that's not bringing you any return.
Right.
And so that's what the Executivepreneur talks about. The mindset is starting to shift, and then you're starting to shift the way that you spend money.
Nice.
The next step, it talks about the entrepreneur stage, and that's step 3. That's when you are ready to get out of the 9 to 5 and start working for yourself. And KeKe, I'm sure you can attest to this, and I can as well. And I'm not a full-time entrepreneur, but owning your own business is extremely hard in the beginning.
Yes.
It is not something where you just, oh, I own my own business, everything's great. You got to work at it for several years to get it to where you want it to be, to where you can take yourself out of the business. I always like to say, some people, when you start, you have to work in your business, meaning that you're doing everything. You're the CEO, you're the vice president, you're the accountant, you're the receptionist, you're the janitor, you're everything. But that's okay. But that's okay, because you're going somewhere. You have a bigger vision in mind. But then eventually you can start working on your business when you take yourself away and you start working on scaling your business. And then that last step is the enterpriser. This is that Proverbs 31 woman that multiplies everything that she touches in her family, spiritually, financially, everything that you can imagine. That woman multiplies it. And so that enterpriser is one that has taken themselves out of the day-to-day business, out of the day-to-day operations. And that enterpriser is now functioning as an impactor. That person is impacting everybody that they come in contact with. Every network, every connection is being multiplied because they're connected to her. And so that's the steps to get you to that enterpriser stage. So I am traveling that journey myself, and I am encouraging other women to come along with me as I take this journey. Doesn't matter what step you're on, we're all headed for the same end goal, which is that enterpriser.
Right.
And if you're there and you are an enterpriser already, then now it's time to build your community and build a circle of women that think just like you and like-minded.
Absolutely. And the importance of like building your own community. Let's talk about that a little bit. Collaboration over competition. Because we all, as women, we've heard the things women don't know how to get along and stuff like that. We're here to break that cycle.
Yes.
So let's talk about the importance of collaboration over competition.
What is the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. Because you can go a lot faster without somebody tagging on, right? You can go. But if you want to go far, go with a team. And I have learned over many years as an adult woman that you don't want to compete with anybody, because you're not going to be you don't want to be a jack of all trades, right? Because you'll only have a percentage of that expertise in that specific subject, right? Everybody has their lane.
Right.
And if everybody could just work in that lane together, we can build something powerful. And so I'm not going to compete with you in a specific area if I know that's not my strong point. How about I get you on my team and we work together and we can do some damage?
Yes.
And that's my thing. Let's work together. Trying to tear somebody down, it eventually tears you down, because so you sow it, so you reap it.
Absolutely. That. I have the goosies, like the goosebumps, like for real. And I love hearing you talk about it, because the passion is so there, the conviction is so there. And I know that you are doing everything in your power to make sure that women know that they can have it. They can achieve it. You just have to do the work. And y'all, she laying out the foundation. Y'all got to make sure that y'all tap into that framework that she has already laid out there. She's doing the work as well. She wants you to come along. So let's tell the people how they can work with you.
Yes. So a couple ways. You can go to my website, www.theassetmultiplier.com. And multiplier is spelled MULTIPLIHER. So her, multiply her. So www.theassetmultiplier.com. And you can book a free passive income planning call with me for 15 minutes. And that's where we actually talk about what your goals are financially. So the program is geared toward if you wanted to start your own business from the ground, like I already know what I want to do, I just don't know how to do it, and you want to start your LLC and start working that way, that program is designed to help you with that. And then also if you want to get into the investment business, if you want to start working on real estate investing, multiple strategies on real estate investing. I've been in the real estate business now for over 15 years. I bought my first property in 2009 as a 28-year-old single woman. And from then, I just grew my portfolio to over 14 doors. And I really made the biggest jump from 2020 to 2023. COVID was a blessing. It was a blessing. And for those that, you know, were sick or family members that didn't make it, it was a tragedy. But those that took advantage of that time of getting out of the rat race and just being at home and thinking and reevaluating their life and what they actually do, those people got ahead. Those people got a jump. And I was one of those people that during that time, I just really started thinking about, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing good at work, all that's fine, but what am I doing? And I really had to determine, you know, if I would have passed away or had a heart attack when I was having those panic attacks, thought it was a heart attack, how would that have impacted my family? Mm-hmm. And honestly, I would have left them with a life insurance policy. That was good, but I wouldn't have taught them anything about how to change their mindset and how to keep that money that they got from my life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. What would have happened is once that life insurance policy ran out, they would have been probably worse off than when I left, than when I was here, because I didn't do my part. Mm-hmm. And so I made sure from 2020 to now that I've done the work, I've done my part, I've left them a legacy, I've left them a trust, I've educated them. You know, we play games, you know, we do a little Monopoly and I'm teaching them that, do you understand the reason for putting a house on this property? Do you understand the reason for buying this property? Like, you got to teach these kids this, because we can have the information all day and we can leave them, you know, a large pool of wealth. But if we don't teach them what to do with it, it'll stop at that generation. Absolutely. I want to create generational wealth. And that comes with not only financially, but that comes with changing their mindset and teaching them how to think the right way about money.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. Absolutely. And all of this information will be in the show notes, guys. So you don't have an excuse. She is putting it out there. She is extending herself. She is knowledgeable about this and she is doing it. She's been in it. 2009, 14 doors. Come on now. So you told us the name of the book. Tell us again the concept behind the book and how can we get the book?
Yes, so the book is everywhere. It's on Audible. If you don't like to read and you just want to listen to it, it's on Audible, The Executivepreneur. It's on Amazon. It's on Ingram Spark. It's at Barnes and Noble. You name it, it's available to you. And then if you want to go to my website, theassetmultiplier.com, there's a section in there for book. If you click on that, you can order the book straight from the website.
Nice.
Yes. And it's really geared toward that second step in the framework, where you're starting to shift your mindset. Like I've heard, and this is part of the reason why I started the program as well. So the book talks about the second step. The program that I teach, it's a digital course with over 45 modules. And I am giving everything I know about starting a business, everything I know about scaling your business, and everything I know about the real estate business. I am giving it all. No shortcuts. And on Sundays, I have weekly calls with the people that join the group. Every Sunday from 7 to 9, once they join, they get access to ask me any questions. We are live running deals. There's a property that they're looking at and they want to run the numbers to see if it's a good deal. I'm on the phone with them live in front of everybody, running those numbers and either giving them the thumbs up or, hey, I get it, you like this property, but if the numbers don't work, or as the young people say, if the numbers don't number, then we ain't buying it.
Right.
And so, that's the program. And the book specifically just talks about that second step. I don't get into too many real estate strategies in the book. I give one, which is the BRRRR strategy. And I talk about that a little bit in the book. But for the most part, it is about mindset. It is about your relationship with money. Some people think money is used to shop and to, pay for bills, and all of that is true. However, money is meant to circulate. And when I say circulate, if we put our money into a bank account, which you should, put an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of your monthly living expenses should be put into a bank account for a rainy day, for those unexpected large expenses that come through. So you got to have that nest egg. But then anything after that, what are you putting it in the bank account for? That needs to be circulated into something that's going to bring you some cash flow and some equity. And so that's what I teach in the book as well, on how to circulate that money opposed to just leaving it there or spending it, because that's what happens. If you leave it there too long, you start to spend it on something that does not bring you a return. And I'm just at a point in my life now, everything has to bring me a return. My time, if I'm going to show up at something, I got to get a return on my time. And that doesn't mean a financial return. I need to get something that I can say, God, I thank you for that conversation because I needed that at the moment. That is a return to me.
Right.
When I'm going to work, I got to get a return. And normally that's financially. Whatever I'm doing, I got to get a return on it. And if you're going to put your money out there that you've worked and slaved for 40 hours plus a week, then you got to get a return on it.
Yes. I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's next for you?
So I do have an event on April 27th at the New Gonzalez Pace Center, and it's from 10 to 11:30, and it is for women. It's a wealth and wisdom brunch. So we're going to be talking about financial wealth, but we're also going to be talking about the wisdom of it. That's the mind, that's the spirit of it. And that's going to be April 27th, Gonzalez Pace Center. It is free. I am here to serve, and I want to serve these ladies that are joining the program. I want to serve the ladies that are in the community, and I'm going to give them, I got an hour and a half presentation on what I want to discuss with them. I have this tool that's called the Mastering Monthly Wealth Tool. And it is just a budget sheet that you can fill in every month. You can put the month, you put the year, and all of your expenses are on there, right? And you fill in, so like mortgage, you fill in the amount, car note, you fill in the amount. And at the end, it tells you if you're increasing your net worth or if you're decreasing your net worth. Now, I know there's so many other things that goes into net worth, like assets and so many other things, but this is specifically your cash assets. And so if you have money left over, and what it's supposed to do is have you trigger and say, okay, if I'm always seeing a red here every single month, then maybe I should cut back on some of my spending. I put things in that spreadsheet that talks about, self-care. We all want to spend money on self-care. We need it. But how much are you spending? How much is it costing for lashes, nails, pedicure, hair, and all these other things? And so maybe we scale back on that a little bit, or maybe we scale back on the eating out. Like all of those things is on that sheet. And then every month, you got to look yourself in the financial mirror and say, am I adding to my net worth or am I taking away?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
and so we're going to dig into that on the 27th. And I'm hoping that right now we have about 50 people registered, which I wanted 20. But I started letting more people come in because I said, God, whatever you want these people to get and they show up, then I want to be able to give it to them.
Right.
And that's going to be later this month. Also, I'm going to be speaking in Atlanta at the Beauty Spa Convention, talking about assets, talking about living trust. I'm not a financial planner at all, but I've done these things so I can speak on my experiences.
Right.
And so I'll be doing that in October in Atlanta. And, look, I'm going to continue to talk about my program, coach the women that's in it, and then continue to add to that community, because I think especially locally, as you and I are in Louisiana, there's not enough talking about that. There's some areas that are thriving. And I think we have a harder time of changing the mindset of people locally. And I'm not going to forget about these people and try to go find those thriving markets. I'm going to take those people with me. And so I'm going to focus on this community. I do have clients that are in other markets, Texas, Atlanta, and so forth. But I want to focus here in our backyard and change the mindsets of these people, because now we can change the mindsets of our children that are coming forward, and we become these thriving markets.
Right. I love it. I love that. So you told us about the website. uh to connect right there, but where are you? Where else do you hang out? I know you sometimes on IG, not too much, but Facebook, yes, you be on Facebook a lot. So tell the people how your handles on social media, all of that will be included in the show notes. We just want to make sure that everyone has the information that they need to connect with you.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook a lot. That's kind of my playground. But Facebook, it's the asset multiplier. On Facebook and on IG, it's asset multiplier. IG, I'm still trying to get used to IG. I was good on Facebook, then I said, okay, I gotta evolve into some other social media platforms. So I'm just recently, probably within the last, I don't know, year, really getting into IG. But definitely follow me. I'm dropping a lot of information during the week. At first, I started off like once a week, but now I'm getting into more 3-4 times a week. And I'm talking about tax sale properties. I'm talking about birth strategies. I'm talking about changing your mindset. I'm talking about anything that's going to empower you to do something about your situation instead of complain about it. I am talking about
Ooh, that was bars right there. That would preach for real. Do something about it instead of complaining about it. Because if you keep complaining, I'm gonna think that you just want some attention and not progression.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This has been an amazing episode. I want to thank you again for coming to kick it with me. But before we get out, I have to ask this question, and I ask it to all my guests. It's called On a Personal Note. What would your now self tell your younger self about the importance of leading the way through a positive mindset?
I would tell my younger self to slow down, that you have a whole life ahead of you. Slow down, take what you're doing now and the opportunities you have now seriously. So where when you get to my age, my current age, you can retire and live the life that you really want to live.
Nice. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming to kick it with me. This has been an amazing episode. I y'all, my guests spoil me so much because I get to experience you guys before everybody else before I put it out. And it's just each episode becomes my favorite. So you're my new favorite episode. I love it.
Oh,
I love it. So before we get off, do you have any words of encouragement, empowerment, motivation, inspiration to the listeners today?
yes. So to the listeners, I want to say, if you're listening to KeKe's podcast right now, obviously she's giving you some information to help you become a better person and to change your mindset. So what she's giving and what her guests are giving you, take advantage of that. Take advantage of it. Do something about it. Don't wait until the right time. The right time is now. There's never going to be that perfect time to do anything. So you just have to get up and do it. Everything that you need is already within you. You just have to put it into motion. And KeKe, what I want to say to you is, I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. And I want you to keep going because I can tell that this is a passion of yours to be a podcaster. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more in you to do. And I just want to encourage you that no matter what, that you keep going forward, that you keep being in alignment with what God has for you. And I can just see you at the top because I know you're going to do a fantastic job at whatever you touch.
Thank you so much. And I received that. And same to you. Keep growing, keep doing, keep showing up, keep pouring into people because it's needed, especially for our women. And
Yeah.
I'm super proud of you. Again, I told you that earlier. I'm so proud of you. And I wish you nothing but continued success, nothing but the best. Blessings on blessings on blessings. Again, thank you for coming to kick it with me today. You could be doing anything because we got some bad weather here today, but we decided to go ahead and schedule because this has been a long time coming. So I'm glad that we were
Yeah.
able to have this conversation. And I'm just grateful to have you on the platform. You are like one of my top episodes, like one of my favorites. And I've done over 100 interviews, and you're like one of my
Oh,
favorites.
wow.
So
Thank you.
thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. But you guys have been listening to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, life, love, and all that other shit. I am back with a new episode every Thursday at noon Central Standard Time. Make sure you tap in. Make sure that you are pouring into yourself so that you can elevate and do the things that God put you on this earth to do. Your purpose is your purpose for a reason. And like she said, everything that you need to succeed is already on the inside. Your gifts will make room for you, but you have to do the work. You have to show up and you have to walk through those doors and know that God is opening those doors for a reason. You just got to walk through them. You're supposed to be in the room. Act like you're supposed to be in the room, okay? Until next time, Purple Hugs. See you later.